Okay, last lesson of the chapter. This is a brief lesson intended to pull your graphing skills together into one process, which is graphing a system of equations. Yesterday we should have practiced, or learned, our last lesson at least, should have practiced doing this to where we see this is slope-intercept form, so you go up 4. This means go down 2 over 3. It is a closed circle, so we use a closed line. Again, a solid line in that case. Make sure you have those habits in your system. Again, a closed line. And then remember that we test, sorry for the motion sickness of turning my paper. I'll try not to move it too fast. Then we remember we want to test 0, 0. So that turns into 0. Keep the sign. Anything times 0 is going to be 0 plus 4. That turns into 0 is greater than or equal to 4. Is 0 bigger than 4? No, it is not, which means that this is false. And remember, if that is false, then we want to go away from it. So again, that was yesterday's, our last assignment that we just did. Then we had standard form graphs. So 2x minus 3y is 6. So we do 2x equals 6 because we ignore y. We do negative 3y equals 6 because again we ignore the x. That would be negative 2. That would be an open circle, so we use a open graph or open line, which means we dash it. And then we test 0, 0. That turns into 0, minus that turns into 0, less than 6. Is 0 less than 6? The answer to that is yes. And since that is true, we stay on that side and shade towards that point. But what if we had to graph them both together? And that is really what yesterday was about. Outside of just making sure you knew how to do it, it was preparing you for what it's really all about, which is graphing systems of inequalities. So how do I determine the proper section to shade? Whenever a system of equations is graphed, there is at least 4 sections to choose from, and I did say at least. The actual section is an overlap of the two shaded sections. So let's take a look at the graphs from before. This was go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 2 over 3, and then I just lost my ruler. Closed circle, sorry again to turn the page. Closed circle. 0, 0 is false, which means again that you would shade this way. So there's a couple ways to do this, and I'm just going to go ahead and get right to it and not waste your time. You could, in your graph, have a line and shade this way, and then have another line and shade this way, whatever it might be, but look how messy that is. And so what I tend to do is I like to use what I call, I usually say find the alligator, and it's just a way to teach, especially for students who struggle, and it really helped. So what I usually do when this is false, and I know I'm going to shade over here, I don't shade big, I just shade real quick and short on the side that I would actually shade on. Notice you would shade the top, so I put my little wavy lines at the top of this. Now we go to this one again. X was equal to 3, I believe. Y was negative 2, I believe. And then that was a open graph. Again, you have to still do your lines right, otherwise you miss it. And when you test 0, 0 here, we ended up with this, which was true. And so since that was true, we would go up. And again, I'm not going to shade the whole section of up. I'm just going to put a wavy line in the direction that I would go. And notice you have your 4 sections. And when you check your 4 sections, you say, does this section have 2 sets of teeth? Teeth there, no teeth there. So that's not it. No teeth, no teeth, nope. Over here, there's teeth but no teeth. The only one that has both sets of teeth is in here, so that would be the section that you would shade. Now on your computer program, you're going to have things that say top, bottom, left, right, and that's really where you're going to get that practice. Actually, you're going to see that in just a second. But really, that's, as long as you can graph, that is really the only thing that you have to worry about, is just knowing where to shade. So organization is the key to graphing the system properly. Again, be sure not to shade too heavily until you find the actual section. You will have to understand graphing to complete the process, but again, if you're not good at graphing at this point, it means you should be watching 5.3 and 5.5. Again, if you're not solid on graphing, you can still complete the MathXL. Just be sure to get assistance as soon as possible, because you do need to know these things. So on MathXL, this is a lot of, or at least a big portion of your work. And what they're going to say is what the solid line is and what the dashed line is. And so it's my way of saying I don't care about the graphing part. Can you shade? If the solid line is false, and again we're testing 0, 0 for all of these, that means we're testing 0, 0, that's it. So the solid line is false. That means that if the solid line is false, I'm not going to go up. Instead, I'm going to go down. If the dashed line is false, that means I'm not going to go up. I'm going to go down. And so is it the top, bottom, left, or right? And so looking for the section that has both teeth, it would be the bottom. And so that would be your answer, is bottom. That's all you have to put. I try my best to make questions that focus only on what's important. And again, the shading is the most important part. In this case, the solid line is false. So again, 0, 0 is where we're focusing. The solid line is false, which means don't go towards it. We go away from it. The dashed line in this case is true. So again, dashed line true, so that means we go towards the 0, 0. And once again, you see that the only section that has 2 sets of teeth is the bottom again. Solid line true. So in this case, solid line is going to go towards 0, 0, so down. Dashed line false. So the dashed line is not going to go down, it's going to go up. And again, the more you do it, the easier it is to find. Now you notice that the double teeth is on the right side. So really that's all there is to it, like mainly. So after you get to the point, after you get past that, you'll be graphing the whole thing from scratch and actually shading at the same time. Again, I don't think chapter 6 was bad. I think elimination substitution was tough. I think that if you don't know how to graph, that's tough. But again, all three of those things that I talked about were actually taught last semester, so it's not really much I can do. Just make sure, again, you're getting help if you care, because in the end, when you make those excuses about why you failed and you tell me, well, I didn't pass because I didn't understand, blah, 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 all I'm going to say is, well, you should have understood it, because I've always told you to ask questions. So just be careful about that stuff. I really don't have sympathy unless you do your job. Once you do your job, I do try to work for you, but again, that does mean you have to work once you start asking me questions. Other than that, good luck, and don't forget your pre-test should be available once you have a 90% on everything.